As you're resting in Balasana, start to walk the fingers forward. And move your head forward and back a few times. And walking the hands back to the sides of the knees and starting to sway from side to side. Move your spine. And then readjust your knees wider, but keep your big toes towards each other. So maybe your knees are as wide as your mat. Coming back down, place your palms together and rest your forehead towards the earth. And notice any resistance on the left or right side. And see if you can sink evenly towards the earth. And then start to take your palms towards the center of your shoulder blades, leaving your elbows on the mat. Let's take a few more breaths here. If you would like to walk your elbows forward, you're more than welcome to. And then returning your hands back to the earth, elevate your gaze, take your hands wider. Continue to stretch your spine. And then carefully walk your fingers towards your knees. And roll over your toes, coming to a crouched position with your feet together. And see if you can rest to your fingertips or your forearms. Just allowing the roundedness of your spine. Rising back, bring your knees together, keep your toes tucked, drop your knees to the mat, and reach your arms up overhead. And as you shine your palms forward, tone your abdomen. And then rising to the tops of the knees, sweep your hands back, interlace your fingers, release your toes, and open up your shoulders. And you can tuck your chin. Feeling the tops of your shoulders reaching down away from your ears, start to shift your quads forward. And maybe elevate your gaze a little bit. And then sweep your hands up. Interlace your fingers behind your head, opening up your elbows, supporting the back of your head. Squeezing your elbows in, begin to round your spine, taking your elbows towards your knees. And then rise back up and open your elbows. Let's do that 2 more times. Exhale, rounding your spine. Inhale, rising. And again, squeezing in, rounding your spine. And inhale up. Turn your interlaced fingers inside out and reach to the sky and gaze to the sky. And then press your palms out and step forward with your right foot. Lunging towards the right foot, press your palms and reach your hands up overhead. Bringing your elbows down the sides, sweep your hands forward and up, clasp your elbows, and try and take your arms behind your head as you elevate your chin, and stretch from your mid-back upward. And then as your hands come up, we're going to bring our fingertips back to the earth. Step back for child's pose. Lengthen through your spine. Let's roll ourselves to our first upward facing dog. Exhale, lower to the earth. Tuck your toes. Rise to plank pose. And then back to downward facing dog. And shift your weight from one palm to the other. Keeping your toes tucked, drop back down to the knees. Rising back up to the tops of the knees. Bring your elbows down. Inhale, reach up. Interlace your fingers, turn your hands inside out. Now release your toes and think of half downward facing dog. Start to guide your thumbs forward and then rest your head in between your shoulders. So the thumb side of your palm is down. Keep extending and reaching through the arms. And then rest back towards your heels and rise back up with interlaced fingers inside out. Taking the elbows down the sides. Hands together before your heart. Step forward with your left foot. Lunging into the left knee. Inhale, hands reach up. Clasping your elbows. Elevate your chin. Again, reaching from your mid-back. Expanding your lungs. And this time as your hands reach, place your fingers and step forward to the front of your mat, taking a halfway gaze. Exhale, heavy forward fold, clasp your elbows, and release your jaw. And again, shift your weight from the left side to the right side. Maybe exhaling through the mouth. If possible, tuck your elbows behind your head. Shifting the weight towards the front of your foot. And then using your arms, they rise first. Arms are rising, head is rising, back is rising. And then reach to the sky and gaze to the sky, palms together. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees. Reach your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers, and open up your shoulders. Crown of your head is reaching towards the earth. Expanding both lungs. Feeling the shoulders reaching towards the sky. Forehead traveling towards your shin bones. And then bend your knees even more. Drop your hips down. Reach your hands forward, press into your feet, rise up. Elbows down the sides. Hands together before your heart. Hop your feet together. Inhale, big breath, reaching to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Place your fingertips or palms. Inhale, halfway gaze. Stepping back for downward facing dog. And really work on lengthening the side body and lengthening the spine. So pushing the palms forward and working on that toning of the abdomen. The crown of the head reaching and extending towards your fingers. Heels reaching back as you elevate your kneecaps. And we'll travel back to Balasana Child's Pose. Stretch and lengthen the spine. Reach the hands forward. Roll to upward facing dog. Lower to the earth. Pressing your big toes to the earth. Reach your hands back. Interlace your fingers. And open up your shoulders. Again, keep your feet pressing into the earth. Lifting the arms off the back. Breathing fully into the belly and the lungs. Shoulders reaching away from your ears. Notice the rise and fall. Maybe 2 more breaths. And as you release back down, place your hands to the sides. Lift yourself up and back for Child's Pose. Roll to upward facing dog. Tuck your toes and reach back for downward facing dog. And we'll stay here for 5 full breaths. When you are ready, step forward with your right foot. Inhale, hands reach up overhead. As you bring your elbows down the sides, take your right elbow underneath your left. Either back or front of palms together. And then fold forward, bringing your elbows slightly to the inside of your right knee. Reach your arms forward from there and breathe. And then using the arms and the feet, rise back up. Release your arms out. Inhale, palms together, reach up. Exhale, elbows down the sides. Step forward to the front of the mat. Palms together, reach up. Exhale, forward fold, placing fingertips or palms. Inhale, halfway gaze. Stepping back for downward facing dog. Let's take 5 full breaths. And when you are ready, step forward with your left foot. Inhale, hands reach up. Exhale, elbows down the sides. Left elbow under right. Front or back of palms together. Forward folding just slightly to the inside of your left knee. Again, reach your hands forward and sink heavy. And then inhale, rise up. Release your arms. Sweep your hands up overhead. Elbows down the sides. Palms together, step forward. Feet are wide on your mat. Inhale, big breath, reach up. This time, as you exhale, tuck your palms underneath your feet. And try and redistribute your weight towards the front of your foot and the crease of the wrist. If possible, bend your elbows and tuck your chin. Hollow out your belly. Steady your breath. And then if your elbows are bending, really start to straighten the arms and stretch the upper back. And then shifting that weight slightly to your heel, release your hands. Inhale, arms reach forward and up. Elbows come down the sides. Interlace your fingers, reach up. As you root into your feet, let's reach over to the right side. Gazing to the right side. And then as you're reaching over to the right side now, rotate your rib cage up towards the left. So give yourself a little bit of a back bend. We're gazing to the left, reaching to the right, reaching from the arms, rooting through the feet, and then back to center, leaning over to the left side, gazing to the left side, rooting into the feet. And then work on that turning of the rib cage upward, spiral upward. Gazing to the right, reaching, extending from the arms. And then back to center. Swan dive, hands come out. Inhale, halfway gaze. Rest your palms, step back for downward facing dog. And once you arrive, take your right leg high to the sky. Bring the right knee towards the right elbow. And breathe here in a floating plank. And then take your right leg back to the sky and rotate your ankle around. Move your toes. A few times in one direction and then in the opposite. And carefully, when you're ready, right knee moves forward for pigeon pose. Take time to extend your left leg back. Make your way to your fingertips. Make sure you have hold of the legs and the muscular engagement there. And then see if you can interlace your fingers behind your back and open your shoulders again. And breathing. And then release the interlacing of your fingers, reach your hands up. As you bring your hands back to the mat, you're gonna tuck your left toes. Let's return to three-legged downward facing dog, right leg high. Step forward for high lunge. Hands reach up overhead. Exhale, elbows come down. Take hold underneath your right knee and lunge a little deeper. And then reach your hands up overhead. Bring those elbows down the sides. We're going to move forward and elevate the left knee As you elevate your left knee, see if you can cross your left ankle over your right knee, bringing your elbows to your shin bone. And if available, you might forward fold and take your fingertips or your palms to the earth. Let's stay here for 5 breaths. And if you're forward folding, return back to your fingers, straightening your right leg, rise back up. Let's all return to high lunge. Arms reach up. Exhale, hands to the earth. 3-legged downward facing dog. Keep your right leg lifted as you shift forward for plank and lower. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now move your knees a little bit and sway your hips from side to side. And move your head forward and back. Dropping down to child's pose. Keep your palms planted, stretch back. Roll to upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take your left leg high. Left knee towards your left elbow, floating in this plank. And then inhale, leg returns back to the sky. Rotate your ankle. Exploring both directions. And then left knee moves forward for pigeon. And again, as you settle, walk your hands back. Engage the muscles of your legs. Reaching back, interlace your fingers, and open up your shoulders. Slow and steady your breath. And then release your hands. As your palms come back, we tuck the right toe. 3-legged downward facing dog, left leg high. Step forward with your left foot. Inhale, nice big breath, high lunge. Exhale, as you forward fold, take hold underneath your left knee. Breathing there. Squeezing into the crease of the left hip. And then inhale, arms reach up, elbows come down. As we move forward, we're going to elevate the right knee and then cross the right ankle over the left knee and try and sit down in your pose, bringing your forearms to your shin. And making that decision, whether you're comfortable there or forward folding, taking your hands towards the earth, fingertips or palms. And whatever you choose, find 5 breaths. And if you've chosen forward fold, please start to return. Release your right foot. Step back for high lunge. Arms reach up. Exhale, hands to the earth. 3-legged, downward facing dog, left leg high. Keep it lifted, shift forward for plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, child's pose. And settle for a few moments. Maybe moving from side to side. And then as you rise to tabletop, take your knees wide and make sure that your toes and ankles are the same width. Stretching back in between your heels, perhaps coming to your forearms, maybe coming down to your forehead. And be mindful of your breath. Relaxing the belly. Sinking heavy in between your heels. And then returning back to your palms, rising back to the tops of the knees. Take your toes in towards each other. Press back for child's pose again. This time, elevate your gaze. Take your right arm out to the right side. We're going to thread underneath the left and see if you can come to the shoulder. Just lightly gazing to the left side. Once you find your right shoulder close or rooted to the earth, interlace all of your fingers. So left hand moves to right hand. And then straighten your left arm, pushing yourself back towards your right knee. So interlace fingers are reaching towards that left side. Stretching that right shoulder blade. Breathing in and out. And then releasing your left hand back to the earth, unwind your spine. Arms reach up. Exhale, elbows down. Reach your hands forward in length. Roll to upward facing dog. Exhale, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. We'll take 5 full breaths. And then drop down to the knees. Bring your toes together, knees are wide, stretching back. This time, elevate your gaze, take your left hand out. As you thread through, we're going to try and come to the outside of your left shoulder. Once you find that, breathe for a moment. And then take your right hand to your left hand. Interlace your fingers. And try and straighten both of your arms, tugging on your left shoulder blade. And leaning towards the left side. So you really want to feel that twist inside the scapula, right? Making its way from your mid-back to your low back. Breathing deeply. And the deeper you can expand your lungs, of course, we're massaging deeper in the body. And then the right hand returns. Unwind, reach your hands up overhead. Elbows come down the sides. As you bring your palms to the earth, we're going to cross our ankles. And let's make sure that the right heel is on top. So right heel on top, left heel under. And then tucking your right heel, rising up. Bring your elbows down the sides. We're going to reach with our left hand. Looking over to the left side, reach back and try and find your right heel. It should be right there. And then reach with your right hand to the sky
and shift your quads forward. And if comfortable, place your right hand behind your head and open up your elbow. And really leading from the sternum and the upper back. Find 3 more breaths. If your hand is behind your head, please reach it back to the sky. Tuck your chin. Both arms reach up. Make your way back to tabletop. Uncross and recross. This time tucking your left toes and then rising back up to the tops of the knees. Right hand reaches back. We find our left heel. Left hand reaches up. And then if you can, place your hand behind your head, supporting the back of your head as you continue to shift your quads forward and find yourself breathing into the back of your lungs. And really think about upward, right? Breathing and moving upward. So feel the rise of the collarbone. And feel the rise of the rib cage. Inflating both lungs. And if your hand is supporting your head, please return it back to the sky. Tuck your chin. Both arms reach up. As your hands come down, uncross your ankles. Lift yourself up and back for downward facing dog. Tone your abdomen and fill your low back. Reaching your heels back as much as you can. And then send your left leg high. Step forward to the front of the mat. Send your right leg high. As you bend your knee, we're going to sweep the right shin bone through and have a seat. Left knee is bent. With that uprightness of the spine, give yourself a hug. Maybe closing your eyes for a moment. And then we're going to step our left foot to the outside of the right leg. And you're going to pull the knee in towards your belly, so there might be an elevation of your left heel. So we want to squeeze in as tightly towards the torso as you can. And really try to keep the uprightness of the spine, so don't sink into your low back. Try and lead with your sits bones. And lift from your pelvic floor. And then carefully set your foot back down to the outside. Rotate your torso to the right side of the body and see if you can come down to your forearms here. And move your rib cage a little bit from side to side. Maybe just gazing over the right arm. Drawing the left side rib cage towards the right. you're more than welcome to stay here. If you would like to, you can place your right palm on the earth. If you can reach your foot, try and reach your foot and see if you can elevate your hips off the ground, right? If you can find your foot. And breathing there. No big deal. Just an opportunity. And if you are lifted, set yourself down. Return. Let's all return back to center. Release your left leg. Arms reach up. Roll to your back. Take a full body stretch. Feeling the curvature of the spine, and then exhale, rooting. Again, inhale, stretch. And exhale, root. Drawing the knees in, cross your ankles. Let's roll and make our way to downward facing dog. And maybe pedal your knees a little bit. Stretching the left side and the right side. This time, stepping your right foot forward. Send your left leg high to the sky. Bend your knee, sweep that shin bone through, and have a seat. Holding the right knee. Close your eyes. And then stepping the right foot to the outside of your left leg. And as you pull the knee towards your belly, again, maybe your heel is floating. Working for the uprightness of the spine. And if your eyes are closed, bring them back. Step your right foot to the earth. Rotate your torso to the left side. And make your way to your forearms. Just breathing there. Gazing over your left shoulder. Maybe just moving your ribs from side to side. And if you liked trying the variation of baby grasshopper, again, place your palm, left palm on the ground. Right hand moves to the outside of your foot. You shift yourself forward and elevate your hips. And breathe there. And if you are elevated, make your way back to the earth. Unwind, release your right leg forward. Let's come to the back. Take that full body stretch. Everything out. And then pull both knees in And take both of your knees over to the right side of the body. And either keeping your knees bent or extending one or both of your legs towards the right side. So if you're just doing one, it would be your left leg. Otherwise, both feet. Stacking your feet. And maybe taking hold of your feet. And if your legs are extended, please bend them. Knees come back to center, just rock from side to side. And then taking both of your knees over to the left side and deciding whether you want to keep your knees bent or extending one or both of your legs. So again, that might be just your right leg, or it might be both, stacking your feet, and perhaps grabbing your feet. And bending the knees, making your way back to center, rock from side to side. Let's take one final vinyasa. Cross your ankles, rolling up. Step back to downward facing dog. Shifting forward to plank pose. Exhale, lower half or all the way. Upward facing dog. Back to downward facing dog. Right leg high. Step forward to the front of the mat. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, elbows down. Interlace your fingers, reach up overhead. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Shift your weight towards your right foot. Elevate your left knee. Hands reach up. Exhale, hands out. Left ankle over right knee. Make your way, elbows to shin bone. Rising back up. High lunge, arms reach. Exhale, hands to the earth. Three-legged downward facing dog. Shift forward for plank, lower. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left leg high. Step forward. Inhale, high lunge. Elbows come down. Interlace your fingers, reach up. Interlace fingers behind your head. Open up your elbows. Hands reach back up. Exhale, hands out. Shift your weight to your left foot. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. Make your way to that balance pose. Gracefully come back. High lunge, arms reach, hands to the earth. Three-legged downward facing dog. Forward for plank, lower. Upward facing dog. Press back, child's pose. Rest your hands behind you with your fingers pointing down. So palms are facing up. And as your head releases towards the earth, exhale through your mouth. Feel the heaviness of your skull.
And slow and steady your breath. And then walk your hands back to the earth.
Make your way to seated. That might be crossing your ankles and sitting behind them. Legs forward. Arms reach up overhead. Exhale, forward fold, Paschimottanasana. And then inhale, arms reach up. If you were holding the sides of your feet or your shin bones, try and make peace sign fingers with your hands and grab your big toes. That might be bending your knees first. Elbows out to the sides. Forward fold. And then inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, elbows down. Place your palms, shift your hips forward toward your heels. Make your way to your back, full body stretch. And then release your hands to the sides with your palms facing up. Step your feet to the earth, rocking the knees left and right. Exhaling through the mouth. Pulling the knees in and freely rocking from side to side. Exhaling through the mouth. And then releasing either into a full body stretch, taking Savasana, or bringing the bottom of your feet together for reclined butterfly pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. Once you arrive, exhale through the mouth. And release fully into your breath. Notice the internal warmth. Just sinking towards the earth. Just a little longer. Invite a greater release.
If you have chosen butterfly pose, please separate your toes, bring your knees back. If your legs are extended, please step your feet to the earth. Breathing in and out, move your knees from side to side, move your fingers. Reaching with your arms in line with your ears and stretching your spine. And then rolling to the right side of your body, make your way to some kind of seated pose. Bringing the hands together before your heart, and always expressing thankfulness to self. Gratitude for the whole body and breath that you are. And I thank you for sharing that with me. Namaste.